You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
You know me, I'm going to stop bugging you from this point on about joining this program that I've been bugging everyone to join. So thank you, everyone, for coming to our Geek Out for Dune. And right off the bat, this is something that I never thought it would ever happen to begin with, let alone doing the Dune book group. But that was a year ago, and a year later, here we are doing a Dune movie Geek Out. So I am so happy that everyone has joined. And as I said, I have giveaways. So I wasn't like lying to you people. I have stuff for you. Caroline's going to take care of the wheel, so to speak, that your name is going to be on there. So if you're within our Dade County, you need to know, if you're not a staff, let me know which branch you want me to send it to. And if you are staff, let me know which branch to send it to. And if you're out of state, if you're lucky to be out of state, but within the United States, let me know where to send it to because I have no shipping address for you. So, but before we get started, let's do a quick introduction. As you may or may not know me, I don't know why not. My name is Montgomery. And with me, and also just on the same table, we have Osmar.
Oh, hi, I'm Osmar.
We have
Heather.
So Heather and I worked briefly at Coral Reef, and within that short time, I found out that she loved Dune, and we were like, we got to do Dune. So it was kind of like a brainchild that came from that discussion. So yeah, glad to have happened with that. And we have
Caroline, super excited to be here. I do a lot of geek outs with Monty, just not Dune. Missed the Dune book club.
Yes. But still, I love, your takes on what we do for our past Geek Outs. So we do have other guests returning. Joe, who was in our book club last year. So welcome back, Joe.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy that the movie finally came out and we're all able to enjoy it, hopefully. I just wish I could have seen it in IMAX. Oh, well.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Don't we all? Don't say we all.
Don't say we all.
Home franchise.
Speaking of which, there's Mr. Gene, who is my co-host on my podcast.
Yeah, here we go.
Here we go again.
Got a shill hit.
Hey, yeah.
You had to do that move.
Okay.
Nerd.
Yeah. Guilty. Yeah. Dork. Whale penis. Yeah, same thing.
Guilty by association.
Yeah. So last night I pulled in another favor from a friend who I haven't talked to in a while. So I'm saying hi to Tigger, which is Melinda. So she and I worked back at Borders back in Coconut Grove a long time ago. In a galaxy far, far away. See, Gene, I can do it too. I
got it.
So thank you, Tigger, for joining.
Of course, I wouldn't miss this.
And we also have Patrick, which I forgot to mention because Patrick always comes to my Geek Out. So welcome again, Patrick.
How's everybody doing?
There we go. And I want to say a special hello to Tanya, who has been part of our Stranger Things Geek Out that we just finished up. So thank you for coming to our Geek Out for Dune.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome. If you can hear me, I just realized I had my mute not off. So you probably heard my car while I was driving.
That's all right. That's all right. As long as you don't get into an accident, that's all we care about.
No, I'm home now and ready. Dune was, well, we'll talk about it.
Just want to see who else we have with us. We have Lily. And
hi, guys.
Hello.
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 And Santeria. And do we have a Graham in the house?
Hey, that's me. Hello.
Hi, Graham. Thank you for coming. After that long introduction, because normally it's not that long, there's only like 3 people. But let's get started to talk about our Dune. And I can't do the control. You do the control. Thank you, Osmar. Osmar presses the button. All right, so we're
And the monkey throws the switch. Great. Yeah. Okay.
So if you ever seen the video for the podcast for the book club, we start off with a little introduction about what we're going to be talking about in the scope. So we have plans within plans, which is a nice Dune reference. We'll talk some Dune news. We'll then talk about the movie itself. I'll then talk about some of the library materials that are available. And also, because no one asked for this, but I brought it back, the Dune memes. And we'll do the Dune giveaway prize at the end of our presentation. Before do that discussion, wanted to show that this was something that I tried to order last time I did this program a year ago. These are my Dune figures that Walmart canceled for me last time. So I was able to finally pick these up, and I wanted to show these off in the group after almost a year of absence of these guys. So I still have not opened them, but I just wanted to show them that they finally got. And if you saw the giveaway picture of the Baron, that's also, I took him out of the box and did a photo shoot with him. So, but I got everybody. We'll see if we'll get a series 2 for next time for the next movie. But
or gray figures. Great.
If they could be orange camouflage. So
sure. Okay.
But still, they're a much better addition than the original Dune figures, which we all kind of laughed about during our last discussion. So, Osmar, let's go click on some Dune news. Oh, and I'm sorry, Laurie also is here. Sorry, Laurie. Thank you for coming. Right off the bat, this happened yesterday, and we have to kind of acknowledge we lost Dean Stockwell. And if you know him from Quantum Leap, he was Al in that show with Sam Beckett. And more importantly, he played Dr. Yui in the 1984 movie of Dune, which right off the bat, I'm going to say this, I like his performance a lot more than the Yui that we saw. I think Yui got shortchanged. That's just my take. I love what he was able to bring to that role, and I understood that passion. Whereas the new one just felt like, we got to go. Keep going.
They had a lot of ground to cover.
They did. In fairness, they did. Sorry that he is gone, but at least we remember him. And we still have it available if you ever want to see his performance. It's one of the few things that I can say it's great. So
it deserves a watch. You should definitely watch it.
He does.
Yeah.
I highly agree. All right. So as we all know, officially, we are getting a Dune Part 2. Not Dune 2, because it's only the second part.
Thank the maker.
Thank the maker. For real.
This is comings and goings.
I want a part 3. I still have a hope for a third part.
Well, he's hoping to also do Dune Messiah, so we may get it.
Yes, even if it's not with Denis, I hope they do it. I'd be excited. I'd watch it.
Do we have any news on the Dune the Sisterhood on HBO Max?
I was going to mention that we do have that coming out, but nothing as far as a date or when it's going into production. But that's still expanding this kind of new universe that's been around since 1965. So who knows? We don't know it yet. But I'm sure we'll know more before that. Who knows? I'm sure we'll know that information a lot sooner than we'll know the release of the next movie. Although, I think they're going into production this summer. Or I should say next summer. Summer's over. At least we got it.
Yeah.
All right. So this is kind of Dune related. Taika Waititi is making a movie based on this graphic novel by Jodorowsky and Mobius. If you know Jodorowsky, he wanted to make Dune. If you've seen this documentary, which I wish we would have it in the library, and I definitely want to order this. I think you can see it on Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken.
You can.
You can. Okay. It is a brilliant piece of filmmaking, behind the scenes documentary. I love it so much. It is so weird and out there for what he wanted to do. But the Inkle itself is was a graphic novel that he had ideas that he wanted from in the movie and has put it into this graphic novel. So there is a character called the Meta Baron, which is reference to the Baron Harkonnen that we saw in Dune. And I think in the opening pages of the Inkle, there's a scene in which there's a man falling down like a cityscape that's very reminiscent of what you saw in Attack of the Clones in the Star Wars movie, the second one. So again, stuff that we would see later on somehow appears in other properties. So much like Star Wars ripping off Dune, here's a kind of segue that it kind of ripped off from the guy who wanted to make the movie. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But again, I highly recommend watching that documentary. All right, so let's do finally our Dune discussion movie. So Heather, you want to go and change the slide?
So I was wondering, like, did you guys have any predictions before going in and seeing the film? Like, did you I had an idea that they were going to stop this half because I knew there was going to be a part 2. There were certain characters we just didn't see. And so it was like, there's got to be a part 2. There has to be. And I had hope. And so I had a prediction that the movie was going to stop where they were drinking the water of life. And I was wrong. But I wondered if you guys had any theories or fan theories before going into seeing the film. What did you think was going to happen? Did you like the character performance? How did you guys feel?
May I start?
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Okay. Well, when I was coming into the movie, I actually had the prediction that they were going to stop it at either one of 2 points. Either at the death of Duke Leto, or the death of Jamis. And I was right on the second bet because it's basically when Paul leaves his identity as Paul Atreides and begins his identity as Paul Muad'Dib, which, by the way, I'm hoping that in the new movie, in part 2, that they give him the name Usul, as well as Muad'Dib, where he becomes truly a part of the premise. There's that, and also, I mean, the movie is gorgeous. The cinematography and the direction was amazing. But I felt that many characters were shortchanged. In other words, the Mentats, both Thufir Hawat and Peter DeVries, Dr. Ewing, another one who I felt was a bit shortchanged. It's like we didn't have the inner dialogue or the introduction to why and who they were integral to the plot. But besides that, I love the things that he did keep or added to the movie. We had the different languages. We had them using the Atreides battle languages or the hand signals and gestures. We had
bagpipes.
We had
bagpipes.
We had bagpipes, yes, and that it was actually fitting for the Atreides.
It's still great.
Yeah. We had a lot of very interesting things. But again, I mean, and I also did hear that he left a lot of things off the table. Like, we did have the dining room scene, which was filmed, but it was not put in the movie. Then again, and he's stating, and Villeneuve is saying that he's not going to do a director's cut, but I hope he changes his mind because there's so much good stuff he left on the table. But all in all, I give the movie a 9.5. I mean, it was as close to perfect as I could expect, but it still left me wanting more.
I agree with that sentiment.
Who else wants to talk?
I'll talk.
Okay, go Oscar.
I didn't have any predictions because I didn't read the book or anything. I just heard you talking about it, so I was just like, oh, this seems interesting. Like an action movie type. So let's see where it goes.
What about you, Gene?
I didn't have any predictions. I knew that it's a really culty book. You know, it's a culty piece. No, normal people don't have an interest in it. You know what I mean? But I found it wonderful. You know, it was boiled down. It was understandable, and I'm an experiment for you guys because you and Joe actually sat me down and made me watch the 1984 David Lynch film, which helped in my digestion of it. I read the book, I enjoyed it, and the great thing about it is that I will read the book again because I want to understand more about this universe. That's the best thing about it for me. But it was weird. I missed the cheesy lines from the 84 version. And the first thing I was like, wait, is it Harkonnen or Harkonnen? How are we pronouncing that word now? Harkonnen?
Harkonnen.
It's like, wait, what?
Still don't like it. Still don't like Harkonnen.
I prefer Harkonnen too.
He used both.
I
He
know.
used both pronunciations in the audiobook. He used both Harkonnen and Harkonnen. He didn't choose.
Is what I thought it would go as. So can I go?
Go ahead, Lily. Go ahead.
All right. So I became a fan of Dune with the sci-fi movies that came out. I think I was in high school. So I did get to watch Dune as well as Children of Dune. It wasn't until, COVID hit, I was like, well, I need to start reading a trilogy. So let me start with Dune. I've always wanted to read it. So I haven't watched the movies. Obviously, this is going to be spoiler for me, but it's okay because I prefer the books anyway. For me, I always wanted to see how they're going to portray the Bene Gesserit hand, like the hand movements, the language, the codes, but also just the language of the cultures. Like, how are they going to go about doing that? That's what I want to see. And I did kind of get a little bit with the sci-fi movies, but I want to see this version of it, how they went about doing it. So yeah, that's my input on that.
Anyone else want to chime in?
I just wanted to say it's really interesting because I come from, I approach Dune in a totally different way than I think most people, because obviously I had heard of it, but I am a reluctant science fiction fan. If I say I don't like a genre, it's usually science fiction is the first one that I'm like, I don't really care for it. But I did read the first book when I heard about the movie that was being made, because I love book to movie adaptations. I love Villeneuve's work. I've seen the last 5 movies that he made. Obviously, I'm obsessed with every actor and actress that they cast in the main. I watch all of their movies. So it's really interesting, though, to hear everybody talk about it, because I was like, it's just Harkonnen. That's how you pronounce it, And it's I don't want a cheesy version of Dune, especially after seeing this and having read the book. My boyfriend was like, you're never allowed to watch the original one because it'll ruin, I would apparently really not like it. And he's like, you're never going to get past it. So if you watch that original movie, then you're never going to take it seriously, and you're not going to read the book, and you're not going to watch the new movie and have a appreciation for it. And it's kind of like that with the Avatar, The Last Airbender. I don't know if anyone had that experience. I'm not allowed to watch the live action movie because, it's just not, we're going to pretend it didn't exist kind of thing. It's really interesting to hear everyone kind of talk about all of these different things that I hadn't anticipated, and that's all I wanted to say on that, because I didn't have any predictions going in. I had basically a clean slate other than the book. So it's really interesting to hear the things that you were expecting to hear or not hear or see and not see based off of what was included in, the original movie and the miniseries. So, pretty cool.
I will say that I think you actually will enjoy the first movie. I'll go on a limb and say that because I love the books and I actually enjoyed the first movie. If you take it with a grain of salt and understand that it's going to be campy,
Yeah.
but it's still enjoyable. It's not, it's fun. It's definitely not. It's definitely not like the book, but it is not as awful as people usually say. I actually really like the movie and I loved the books. My prediction for this movie was completely off because I thought they were going to actually stop at the birth of the daughter, and they stopped way before. So I was, well, not way before, but they stopped before. So I was a little surprised where they stopped, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah,
I wanted to say that Caroline, listen to the people telling you about Airbender live action. Watch the animated version, but I think the first version is best when you put it in context of the director, David Lynch, and you understand his style and what he was trying to accomplish, which was, trying to tell a story kind of his way. And I think he is a good example. That movie itself is a good example of avant-garde kind of stylistic movies really coming onto the scene. And so in many ways, it's a precursor to a lot of the movies we have today. So I tried to come into it in knowing that this is a modern movie and probably have some modern elements. I am happy there's a part 2. And so we're following the epic proportions of the whole book series. And I was very happy for that. I was happy J.J. Abrams is not the director. I was a little worried because I was thinking it could go the whole other perspective, whole other way of focusing on, the violence and the damage and explosives. And I found this movie beautifully soft and wonderful, which is different than David Lynch's kind of dark, weird version. And in that way, I thought it does a wonderful way of setting up the environment in a way I haven't seen a movie do since, the whole Lord of the Rings and books like that, as far as fantasy sci-fi. I saw it more as fantasy sci-fi than just straight up sci-fi. It's just fantasy on another planet, in another system. Kind of like the Lord of the Rings is why I kind of make that example. I mean, it's Earth, but is it? It's not really.
Just like to add something. Basically, I'm sorry I came in late, but adding to what Tigger was saying and others, I started with the '84 Lynch movie when I was a kid back in the '80s, and I actually enjoyed that movie. And after reading the book years later and seeing this new movie, I still have an affinity for that Lynch film because, somebody once put it as like this: it's a beautiful mess. It's one of those things that it's not it's not Dune as you know it, but it's a spectacle, and it's just one of those. And it's got so many great actors like Patrick Stewart and Dean Stockwell and all these characters, and Sting, of course. But it's a beautiful, beautiful mess, and I've always enjoyed that movie as like a standalone thing. And as far as this film goes, I enjoyed it. I thought it did good justice for the book for the most part, and it was great, and I'm really looking forward to part 2. And I'm sorry, have you guys touched on the aborted film from the 70s, the Jodorowsky version? Because that was weird. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
But that makes the Lynch movie look, that's not nearly as strange as it could have been. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It could have been weird.
Weirder.
Weirder.
Right.
No, weird way. Anyway,
if you like the Labyrinth, you'll like the old June.
Yeah.
I love.
Want to chime in?
I do too.
I just want to say, first of all, I started watching Dune and I saw the full version. I think it was like 5 hours. I think 3 or 4. I forgot how long it is. And that's the '84 Lynch, of course. But I had to use that as a reference point because I'll be honest, I didn't read the book. I always wanted to, but it's just a lot of other books I have to read. But I've gotten to the point now where I'd rather see the movie first and then just read the book to fill in what I'm missing from the movie. Because if I read the book, I'm not going to enjoy the movie. So I go in there with low expectations. But with the director, Villeneuve, I'm saying his name correctly, but with him, the way he did Blade Runner, I know he's going to do well with Dune. And I like to feel the pace of it. I agree with Tanya. I think she mentioned that it's like a fantasy sci-fi, and it has that feel. It's lighter in tone, it's not as dark as the Lynch one, but when you see it for the first time, especially from a kid's perspective, I saw it as a kid, it leaves an impression that it never leaves, like, especially from the 80s sci-fi. So if you grew up in the 80s and you dealt with that type of, the type of space opera like sci-fis back then, it's a totally different feel, but it does lay the foundation so that when you see sci-fi today, you can see the comparison and still enjoy it. It's just like, if you ever seen old British sci-fi, you know what I'm talking about, like Blake Seven and even stuff from the late 80s of, well, a lot of them were comedies, or Doctor Who. They have a certain feel, but they had great stories. Special effects weren't great. But when you have directors that do movies like this, they grew up on that as well. So they try to capture a lot of what they grew up on, but put it in a more modern telling so that you can still enjoy it, but have a different feel for it.
Anyone else that has not spoken yet?
Yeah.
All right. Great.
So my partner originally got me into Dune because we watched the miniseries together, which I really loved. And I've read portions of the book, but not the whole thing. But I really, really liked the miniseries. I thought it was like so bombastic and campy and fun, and so colorful, especially compared to the new movie. Because me and my partner watched the new movie, and personally, I didn't like it as much as I did the miniseries, just because it felt more drab, in my opinion. They like someone said earlier, they cut out the dinner scene. That's an early scene, where in the miniseries you get to see all these goofy outfits everyone has on. You get to see the politicking going on, which is all really fun. And then the princess comes in and she's got this massive head gown with just butterflies on it, and it's all very silly and fun and colorful. But for me, the new movie left out all those bits that I really, really liked. Yeah. So personally, I was a little disappointed, honestly.
I agree with you, but there's an argument that Lynch's Dune and the Sci-Fi Channel's Dune and Denis' Dune all exist and have valid points for whatever aesthetics you like. Like, I still love the Bene Gesserits from Lynch's version. I love the bald head. I wonder why. But I'm just saying, they're more striking. Visually, they're more striking than we've seen in the other two movies. So that's just
it's definitely valid as something that stands on its own. And I did like a lot of the movie. Like, I thought the Thopter design was really, really fun.
Excellent.
I love that.
Yes. The video decision is not working on this.
Oh, okay.
So we may have to push through a little bit quicker, just because.
Yeah. Essentially, what was happening in the video was a tiny 1-minute clip of the differences between what we were discussing, what they admitted from the new version of the movie. We see them cut out huge context in the newer adaptation to kind of make it flow and make it streamlined and more introductory for people who haven't really read the in-depth book. And you're hearing them use the voice on Paul. And in the old movie, where you were watching it from '84, you could hear the internal monologue. It was really present. And in the new movie, when you hear Lady Helen Mohim use the voice on Paul to get him over so that he can take the test, you don't actually hear her basically speculate to herself like, oh, well, maybe he's refusing the voice. Maybe maybe this one is smart. So you're hearing that internal monologue. Did any of you miss some of the gaps of the internal monologue that they left out? Or even at the beginning of each of the excerpts in the book, you hear the princess, Lady Erlan, or Princess Erlan, just basically foreshadow what's going to be happening in the next chapter. And in the movie, you see her foreshadowing maybe the events that come into play, like a diary entry. Does anybody miss that? Or do you think it flows a little bit better with those pieces cut out?
I'll go again and just say, yes, I miss it.
Yeah, I missed it a little bit too.
Yeah, I missed it because it gives a better context with the book. But okay, I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, Joe, please continue.
So,
I definitely had mixed feelings on it because I do.
Am I muted?
You raise your volume a little bit? We can't hear you.
Hold on.
Sorry, I forgot I moved my mic. I'm at work. I actually had really mixed feelings because I do feel like they did a very good job of conveying the message without the inner dialogue. But there were points where I kind of was like, oh yeah, it would, I did miss it a little, but I actually really enjoyed not having it as well because I feel like it flowed very nicely, and it wasn't. I thought I was going to miss it more, but I really didn't. Now, my husband was miserable without it. Like, he hated the lack of inner dialogue. He really that was one of his big pain points while we were watching it, because he kept saying, well, if you never read the book, you're really missing out on things. Like, having read the book, maybe it didn't hit me as hard that the inner dialogue was missing, because I already kind of knew where it was going. So I think it definitely makes a difference on your background, whether or not you've read the book, and how much you enjoy and how much you miss, if that makes sense.
I was really surprised at how I missed the old version. I missed the Lynch version. I was surprised because I hated it at first. Joe and Monty had to sit there and, like, I walked out of it. I'm like, no, this is too difficult, because you have to work, because there were scenes that, like, Montgomery and Joe would be like, yeah, this part isn't in the book. I'm like, why is it in the movie then? It makes no sense to me. But it was funny because a lot of the dialogues and stuff stuck in my head. I'm like, oh, I missed that scene. I missed that line. I was expecting that jab or that quote, but it wasn't there. But it's a new retelling. But yeah, enjoyed it still. Just it's more diluted, more watered down, more easier to digest in this current form, I think. Overall, you just have to get used to it. It's still Dune, and it's just a different interpretation of it, which is okay with me. The story's still the same.
David Lynch added some things that weren't in the book.
Yeah.
But rather than touch on those, adding that voice to me, I think was kind of critical to understand how people could potentially communicate. Because even though Paul couldn't hear in the beginning, it kind of, constantly reminded me that at some point they're going to hear each other with their mouths not moving, So, I kind of liked it because it left open the window that someone might hear her, like it gave her a sense of vulnerability.
I would say
I liked it because it was in the book.
Yeah.
If you've watched Blade Runner, the original version, Harrison Ford has that narration throughout the whole movie, and with the multiple director's cuts, it's gone, but I can still hear it. So in that case, I felt like I still didn't mind having that voice be the narration. But when you have a whole entire cast doing that, oh my God, it is like, enough, shut up in your brain, because we could all hear it. But still, for the purpose of this movie, certain things have to be conveyed differently. And that's what I think Denis excelled at, is how can I convey the exact same thing without having to tell you what I'm thinking? That's, I think, the craftsmanship that he's able to bring. So I appreciate that being taken out completely. So
I'm saying I feel that it's like the context, as you said, he was able to convey it. The movie makes sense, but I felt it lacked the richness.
Right. There's no way
of there's no way to it. It's like for instance, the relationship between Jessica and Dr. Yui.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had there were misinterpretations within the book between them.
Yeah.
She thought, oh, he's really vulnerable, and he's like, oh, I have to play this up. Oh my God, she's a Bene Gesserit. She'll be able to read me in a moment and know exactly what. But my wife had, I'll just overemphasize this and then, get her off the track so she doesn't suspect me.
Right.
Little things like that. And I'm like going, but then again, I think that's part of the reason that Denis may have lessened the secondary roles.
Right.
Because if he had kept it, he would have had to have that context, and the movie would have been maybe 4 hours.
Exactly.
Maybe 5.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved it anyway, but I think I would say, pause, go bathroom, come back, continue.
Okay.
Okay.
Who else, just so we can move forward? Anyone else want to talk about this real quick?
Okay. So here's another one where we're going to talk about things that were cut. And we see like clips, especially in the trailer for the new Dune movie, about like the Holy War, the Jihad, and all of the possible futures of all of the different outcomes that Paul is actually going to experience all of the possibilities? Do these show through as possibilities to those of you who haven't read the books before? Were you able to like grasp and understand what was happening? I felt like some parts of it were lost. Like we didn't really know the importance of Dr. Yui being a Sook doctor and having gone through all of this training. And we missed little parts where like Jessica was, thought to be in cahoots with the Harkonnens and maybe trying to get rid of her husband or, well, her partner. Were there things that you were like, oh, I wish they would have delved more into this part of the storyline? Were there parts of you that were like lost? Or we still have part 2, so some things might resurface, but did anybody have any trouble following along like with the context of the story?
I did a little bit. I was like, when he had like those visions, I was like, oh, what's going on? I guess the spice makes him see, all these different stuff. But yeah, there were parts of it that I felt like maybe it could have been explained more, maybe in more detail, especially as somebody who hasn't read the books or anything like that.
Anyone else want to talk briefly about this point?
Yeah. If I may. I felt that it showed the limitations of his mission, because he didn't always imagine things. I mean, he didn't always perceive things that did come true. It's like, okay, this is a possible path. He saw a probability, not the future is chaotic. It's not fixed in stone until certain things occur.
Right.
So what he saw were possibilities. I think the most interesting one was the one with Jamis, because he made it go, wait a moment, what you call it? Here, let me show you. Oh, Jamis is my friend. So that made the context of the fight so much deeper. I was like, bravo. That was excellent. You did an amazing job with that.
That's a great point.
But
great point.
Yeah. But what you call it? Now we'll have to see what happens in part 2.
Right. Well, they'll all be drinking that water. That's what I'll be saying.
Yeah.
Because his water belongs to the tribe, so you know how that goes.
Exactly. Yep.
Not creepy at all.
Well, if you see the extended version, you'll see that scene play out. It's much like, I ain't drinking that. I know where it's been. All right, let's go on because we're actually running out of time. Not that I'm not entertaining this at all, like having the best time, but I'm like, it's a lot. Go ahead, Heather.
Okay, so far in the adaptation of part 1, they haven't introduced some key influential characters. I want to know what your guys' dream cast is for certain characters. We have Alia, we have Fade, Shaddam is missing, Princess Erlan. So who would you love to see cast as these characters in part 2, or hopefully part 3? Because I'm rooting for a third part. I also have my own speculations of who I think they should cast based on how creepy of a small child they can get. So in my dream team, I would like to see Alia either played by Violet McGraw. She looks like this. Hold on, let me see. Okay. She looks like a creepy child, the creepy eyes. Or I really like Brooklyn Prince. Come on, come through.
There we go.
Beautiful.
Okay.
And then I actually had a part 3. She played like young Sabrina in the Sabrina series on Netflix. It's McKenna Grace.
Yes, that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited. But those are my 3 picks for who I'd like to see play Alia. I don't know if anybody was like, I wonder if this would be a good character. So,
well, I'm sure you would want Sting to come back as Faye, right?
I kind of do.
In the Speedo. Let's be honest.
It was such a reprieve. I love Sting. I have speculations for Fade. I like that guy who played in the Vikings miniseries. Alex Hugh. I don't know. His name is Norwegian. He looks crazy.
Okay.
Some people liked Cillian Murphy, and then a lot of people like this people's foreign names. Sildar, he had intense.
Skarsgård. Bill Skarsgård. He's the Baron's son in real life.
You might as well. You might as well.
Pennywise. He's Pennywise from It.
Yes, Pennywise. I think he would make a great Fade.
I love him. He's great.
But I had lots of speculations. I also had John McAvoy for Shaddam.
Okay.
And then someone said Jude Law. I'm on the fence about that. But yeah, those were my speculations. I think for Princess Irulan, I would like to see either Florence Pugh.
I see that.
I see it. And then I like Sarah Gadon.
Okay.
I could see she has her hair braided in one video, and I was like, I could see it. I could see it. So those are who is on my dream cast for these characters. I don't know if anybody else was like, I'd like to see this person be played by this.
Well, I'm going to jump in real quick. I feel like I saw two speculations that I was particularly interested in. So they said for Fade, they were like, oh, it should stay as a musician, like a musician turned actor. So of course they threw out Harry Styles. So I'm like, interesting. I don't know. Crazy. Loved him in Dunkirk. Gonna see what he does in the new movies that he's in. But that was interesting. And personally, as a person who blocked out the existence of Princess Irulan after finishing the book, I totally forgot that she was a character. The person who I would most like to see is Saoirse Ronan, because Saoirse Ronan and Timothée Chalamet have been in so many movies together, and they have, I feel like, a really great chemistry. So those are the only two people that I kind of care about, but I try really hard not to visualize people. I know people love casting a movie ahead of time, but I feel like then I just get disappointed by who they cast when it's not my person. So those are my only two kind of wishes.
A little bit of trivia. The role that if Jodorowsky had wanted, the role for Faye to be played by, it was Mick Jagger. So it keeps in line with the rock and roll theme of having actors.
Well, yeah, and he wanted who? Salvador Dali to play Shaddam.
Right, the Emperor.
Shaddam Carreno the Fourth, the Padishah Emperor of the known universe.
And Orson Welles as the Baron.
The Baron Harkonnen.
Yeah. So again, great documentary. So,
and he was going to pay. Wasn't he going to pay Salvador Dali like $100,000 a minute per act?
Something like that. Yeah. Like a 1 day shoot. Yeah. All right. Let's go on to the next one, Caroline.
Okay, so I have two slides, and I feel like every Geek Out, I always end up with the last slides. So I'm going to just barrel through them. We're going to barrel through them. So the first thing that I was really impressed by is the fact that the movie is actually beautiful. I don't know. I didn't have as high expectations because it is a book adaptation. I feel like you're so worried about making sure that they get the characterization right and the plot development right and those certain scenes that you really want to see. But I felt like I was really absorbed into this movie, and it was just breathtaking. The cinematography is amazing, and that's something that I particularly care about. And I thought that the score really, it worked really well with the visual that you're seeing on screen, even though it's a fairly quiet movie. I don't feel like they had a lot of memorable dialogue, but the actual appearance of it was beautiful. And I love this scene in particular because it reminds me of one of my favorite paintings. So there's a Caspar David Friedrich painting that's The Wanderer Above the Mist. And it's a guy, and you see his back and he's standing out and you see the clouds in front of him. So I thought that was a really interesting nod. And I mean, I just like Villeneuve's work and the way that he sees the world and the world building of Dune. So I'm really excited to see what he's going to come up with for part 2. So we can see more of the Fremen and how that's going to work out, because I'm intrigued. I'm hesitant, but I'm intrigued based off of what I saw in the first movie.
And to make light of what Gene wrote, is that Sherlock? And I was like, no, that's not Benedict Cumberbatch. It looks like Sherlock from the back. I give
it really does.
The Mind Palace
I
thing.
thought about that.
It's great. This is what he looks like. It's great.
So he
Look at that hair.
and I'm laughing because I see it too.
Yeah.
I see it too.
Now that you said it, we can't unsee it.
Because that was said, I think I'm looking at the Loch Ness.
Yes.
I'm started. It just throws me right there. Yep, that's Sherlock looking for Nessie.
All right. What's the next one, Caroline?
So the next one is a much more interesting topic. If you want to go to the next slide, we probably cannot cover it in like the 2 minutes that we have left. But I read a lot of really interesting articles about Dune for the book and for the movie about this idea of, is Paul a white savior? And it's really interesting because I feel like after kind of digesting things, it's like, I don't think that the book necessarily has a white savior complex or, a problem with representation, right? But when it is adapted, it tends to, lose some of the specificity that Herbert included in the book that makes it, a complex society and culture. And so I just was curious if anyone else had these like weird vibes if they watch, like when they watched the movie, especially if they didn't have any context from the book, if they felt like it's strange that not only are the Fremen like all ethnicities and like all kinds of people, right? Not one of them being, somebody who's actually descended from somebody who is from North Africa or the Middle East originally, but did that throw you off? Like Javier Bardem's accent is kind of strange. All of their accents are kind of strange. I don't know. It's one of those things that I'm not sure about. And I was curious if anybody else had any thoughts on, because it's kind of one of those complex issues.
I read further into this series, and so I know it's going to happen. And I'm like, nope, not a white savior. Not a white savior. But I feel like from an outside perspective, at least the first part of the movie, like the first part that we just saw, I guess you could probably take that, like, why is he the hero? Why is it another white dude? So I could see it for both perspectives. But yeah, because they're building him up to be where you're going through the hero cycle with him, where you're journeying with him into the desert, and he's an outsider. So it's kind of interesting to see how cultures will mingle because he becomes their leader. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I really don't feel that, but then perhaps I'm too close to the source material that I've read Dune many times and have seen what Herbert was attempting to do with his work. As I said, on a surface level discussion of it, perhaps it has the tropes for it, but it really isn't. At least if you continue with the story. And also, I take the concept of that this is set 34,000 years in the future. I don't believe that our perceptions of it should be the same. This is set at another time. It's like saying, okay, let's take our morals and values and mores, taboos, and thrust it on the Roman Empire. That doesn't work. Right. Because that's not how those people live. So that it has the tropes, I'll agree. Is it? I would argue against that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Anyone else want to chime in before we are close to wrapping up? And unfortunately, we're going to have multiple conversations on this because, when Dune becomes available for us to watch, and I think it was the manager's meeting, we're going back to in-house programming soon. So if that's the case, I'm going to make sure that we get a license to show Dune so we can have even further discussions down the road. Yeah. But let's go into this. My portion is real easy, is that because now that we have Dune, and we're going to get a part 2, we get the Bene Gesserit Sisterhood and all that. Is this the DCEU, the Dune Cinematic Extended Universe? And I think it will do it justice because the regular DCEU is garbage, but I can see Dune being so expansive because you have, I think, 6 Frank Herbert's original books. We have the prequels, the interquels of Dune with his son and Kevin Anderson. We have graphic novels. I mean,
the houses.
And the different houses. So it is a massive universe that I'm like, I would love to see each one get a treatment on this. And if it can be all contained and come together, why not the DCEU?
I agree.
Thank you.
Especially that follows the standard, at least of the beginnings of this style that's coming out, the visual style. and the quietness of tone and the softness of the background, absolutely. You know, I would like a more diverse cast because I am limited in my exposure to the world. And I mean, I don't want to get in trouble saying this, but I often can see people from other cultures more believable in a situation that I am unfamiliar with.
And a lot more interesting.
Right. And it's like, yeah, because it's like, it's not my brother. You know, it's not someone I know. It kind of takes that away. And so, you know, I think it would be great if they did that. And it makes me think, well, I guess I got to read more books then, you know. But I would like a diversion away from the Marvel and DC heroes myself. You know, I would like us to go back as a Hollywood focus, you know, to kind of that Lord of the Rings fantasy idea, or, you know, sci-fi would be great.
Right.
That's not so J.J. Abrams or
right. There has to be an equivalent. If Lord of the Rings exists, this has to exist. It has to be balanced. So yeah.
Why not?
I agree. All right. We're going to go ahead and bypass all my stuff. We'll talk about this later on another time. Just keep tap.
Oh, but you worked so hard on it, I heard.
You can go to the library.
Whatever. It's all on Hoopla. That's all I gotta say. You like graphic novels? I have the hardcover, right? You don't want to wait? Go online to Hoopla. Can't plug that enough.
They also
Hoopla, Joe. Hoopla.
If you love the soundtrack, I love Dune tremendously. I'm saying this as a fan. The Dune sketchbook is a much better soundtrack than the Dune soundtrack album, in my opinion. But I also love the original Dune from Toto.
Yes.
So I can't help that.
It's a mood. It's a mood.
The Inkle is available. We do have it in hardcover, but like 2 copies. But if you want to read the whole thing, go through Hoopla. We have all the issues or one massive issue for all of them together. So you can do that as well. And if you don't happen to have a library card, or if you're out of town, I'm not sure who is here. If you use your phone, you can scan it right now and apply for an electronic library card through the library's website. And you can access everything that we have digitally through Hoopla. So great benefit there. I'm going to have to go do memes real quick. Me when the bagpipes hit in Dune. Who's the ladies? That is the best moment. I love that moment.
I love the bagpipes. Oh my god.
Dune fans when they see the worm on the screen. Me when people say that Dune is a Star Wars copy. Mom, can we go see Dune? No, we have Dune at home. Dune at home is Beetlejuice. Dune.
I wanted the worms to have a fiery center. Did anybody? I missed that part.
We'll get there. The pug is for the space pug is for Heather because they were missing the pug.
We still have time.
We still have time for the pug. Okay.
Okay.
If you haven't seen it, they ride off into battle with that like the dog of the house.
So this really saw us come to the point of us trying to wait for Dune. Feels a lot like this across the board. Interstellar is perfect. I think the Squid Game is more apt because it just came out, and that's fantastic. So, but yeah, it's going to be like, when's it going to come out? We'll wait. We waited this long, so what's a couple more years?
I legit snorted when I...
I'm not sure if you can hear the music.
Can't hear it.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not playing.
Weird, like,
it's a rave music of the throat singing scene. So you can see it on YouTube, but it's hysterical. So I'm like, I never thought I would ever see throat singing, let alone turn that into a rave party. So, all right.
But it works. It
really does.
You want to have Sutter Card at a rave party? Okay.
Okay. This one we can skip because it's all Dune from the trailers done as Legos, which is fantastic. I love it. But we don't have time for that today. So that's got cut. All right. So, Caroline.
Yes, Monty. I have the winners.
You have the winners. Who is our first winner? And should we do it like you said, just have the first person pick what they want?
I think so.
Okay.
That way we don't place value on it, they place value on it.
Fair enough. So, who is our first winner?
Our first winner is drumroll. Tanya.
Oh,
Tanya's our
There
first
you go.
winner.
So, Tanya, out of this, which is your first and only choice?
I'm trying to see. There's 4 books,
We have the Dune storybook.
right?
The rest are DVDs. This is the extended version of Dune.
That's the
first book.
DVD.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have the Dune miniseries for the
Mhm.
Sci-Fi Channel and Children of Dune, also DVD.
The second book.
Second book.
I'm gonna get the sci-fi one because I don't know how otherwise I'll get a handle on that because
All
I
right.
haven't seen it.
All right.
That
So
would be great.
it's yours. Okay.
Thank you very much,
Tanya, just let us know which branch you wanted to pick up.
Naranja.
Naranja. Okay. Fair enough.
Yep, that's the closest one. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Caroline, who is our second winner?
So ironically enough, I didn't take Tanya's name off the second time, like when I read it the second time, and she actually came up the second time, but we're limited it to one. We limited it to one.
Yeah.
So, which is like, so our next winner, drum roll, is Patrick.
Patrick. Woohoo!
Wow, thank you.
So you have the steel case for Dune, you have the Children of Dune, or the storybook of Dune.
I'll take the Children of Dune.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
Patrick for the win.
I usually don't win anything.
We got
Well,
you.
You could have had a chicken dinner, but you have a DVD instead. So, all right.
Longevity.
Okay, third winner, drum roll.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Patrick.
Third winner is Gene.
Gene,
Gene, you won, Gene.
Yay!
a lifetime supply of turtle wax.
Wonderful.
Yay!
So, Gene.
I think I'll take the storybook. That'll be great.
All right, Gene gets the storybook.
That would have been my pick, Gene. So good choice. Good choice.
And then you're going
All
to
right.
turn it around and sell on eBay.
Don't tell secrets, Monty. We don't need to tell secrets.
I think
That's
I would have considered the turtle wax. If that
There you go. All right, so Caroline, who was our last pick?
Last winner, drum roll, is Tigger.
Tigger.
Yay!
Tigger gets
Yay!
nice steel case. That's steel.
That's awesome.
So good on you.
Very, very cool. Thank you.
Okay, and since I have you all here, for next week, our last Geek Out for November, we are doing What If, still season 1, episodes 4 through 6. And then the beginning of December, we are going to start The Witcher, episodes 1 through 4. So if you want to participate, please feel free to sign up. But I'm glad that all of you are here. And I'm very grateful that all of you came to this program. And it means a lot that everyone came, because this is a long time coming, that we put a lot of work into this. And I'm glad that this all came out together perfectly. I can't wait till next year, considering we'll have like more opportunities to do even more elaborate programs. So in-person programs, I can't wait to do that with you guys very soon. So on that note, thank you for coming to today's Geek Out. So before we go, anyone want to say anything before we go? Since we're going to be done in a moment.
So say one thing.
Yes, sir.
Has anybody seen Foundation yet? Or
one episode?
I started it like 2-3 episodes in.
Wow.
It's interesting.
I need to watch that. Yeah, I've read the books. Ooh,
I'm gonna
It-
read them myself.
It is interesting. I'm like episode 9.
Okay.
And I've never read the books. My friends have all read it. And I was asking them as I'm going along. And it's like, they were telling me some of the discrepancies because I want to read Foundation. But at the same time, as I'm watching it, I thought, this is kind of interesting. Why is it like this?
If we want to add it to the Geek Out next year, we can do that.
Please.
Okay.
I share a birthday with Isaac Asimov, and so it was like required reading.
Okay. All right. We'll plan it out for next year for Due Foundation.
Have you guys done a Geek Out on the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Oh,
No,
please,
but that's a
I
good suggestion.
Ooh, we
I
should
have the
definitely.
original. I have the original anime, original '80s British
The
radio
BBC.
version.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
And I
that.
think that's on Hoopla too.
It is. I saw that on.
I love that. I love the book.
All right. That's also a good suggestion. Okay. Anyone else?
I just wanted to say thank you, Monty, for getting this all together and hosting and having these conversations. I love to kind of jump in and out of the Geek Out world and rag on you, and you're always such a good sport. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And that's the whole point of this whole Geek Out is that us as library fans, library staff talk about this constantly. Patrons talk about this. Why not combine the two together and make that a program in our library? Right? That's the whole point of our Geek Outs. So
the magic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
I have a comment. Will Brandon Sanderson, the Cosmere universe, ever be a topic for Geek Out?
what was the name?
Brandon Sanderson, Cosmere universe.
He does
Cosmere world.
Fantasy series.
I don't know.
Didn't he finish writing the Wheel of Time series for the original author? My boyfriend's
the
reading the
Wheel
Wheel
of
of Time,
Time.
and that show also
The
is
Wheel
coming
of
out.
Time would be a great Geek Out.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
Because the
Wheel of
series
Time
is
would be
coming
a great
out
Geek Out.
like next week or two.
We gotta read the books first. I gotta read the books first before I watch that.
There's a ton. They're all 1,000 pages. Let me just say, there's like 14, I think, but yeah, totally.
We'll add
Audiobook it.
We'll add the Wheel of Time as well. The other thing too is like it doesn't have to be like necessarily sci-fi stuff. Like he was willing to do with Downton Abbey because there's a new movie coming out, and I was a fan of the series. I haven't seen the movie, but I'm like we could do that too. So it doesn't have to be sci-fi, and it's what is out there that we like, and what we have in our collection that we can rent out and check out.
It's funny you mentioned that because one of my coworkers was reading Bridgerton, and so I don't know how this.
Right. So let's not. I would like to again
Only
diversify.
because
Bridgerton has this element of fantasy. Just saying.
Yeah, it's true.
No, it fits.
It's been highly requested.
It's a little dark.
She's like literally into this.
Okay.
And so, if you guys mentioned, Downton Abbey, that's the only reason why I brought it up.
Yeah. I mean, it is going to get a second season, so what's his name is not going to be in it though. But I'm sure they'll figure out a way. But
yeah,
but things like that, let us know. We can easily make that happen. That's the whole point of this Geek Out. It's like we love talking about this. Let's make a program. Easy as that. All right, folks. I gotta go to the bathroom. I've been holding the keys since 4:30, and I'm like,
See you guys next week. See you
yes, Tanya.
See you guys.
I got my
Take care,
shirt.
guys.
I got
Thank
my
you.
shirt.
Great job.
Hail Mars.
Hail Mars.
Bye, everyone.
If you were a monster kid growing up, if you enjoyed Saturday mornings watching Monster Movie Matinee, or staying up all night watching the Midnight Feature, then Monster Attack is the podcast for you. We not only look at classic old monster movies, we share our experience growing up as a monster kid. Join us every Monday for Monster Attack.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping for the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.